Okay, so question 1, describe the single transformation that maps shape A onto shape B. If you just choose one point so you don't get confused, so we're going to go with the bottom left to the bottom left. This A and B, the first thing to notice is that they have the same orientation. It's not been like flipped in any way, you can't see any sort of any signs of reflection. It's the exact same orientation, it's just been moved, which is a bit of a clue that it's a translation. So it's just going to be a translation, which just means it's being moved left and right or up and down. And for a translation, the number that goes at the top is how much it's moved left or right, and the number that goes at the bottom is how much it's moved up or down. So if we just choose one corner to focus on, that's a movement of 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right. So because it's movement to the right, we do positive 4, because it says shape A onto shape B, so we start at A and we're going to B. If it was the other way around, the top number would be minus 4, because we'd be going that way. So translation of 4, so from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then to get from A onto B, we then have to go 3 down, so 1, 2, 3. It's negative 3 because we've gone down. If we'd gone upwards, it would have been positive 3. We'll do question 2 at the same time. Describe the trend in the percentage of the people in the village who use the shop for this period. So they've given you a graph that talks about the percentage of people in a village that use the village shop over a certain number of years. So you've got the percentage on this axis, you've got the years on this axis. So in general, if you look at the percentages and as the years increases, the percentages is coming down. So describe the trend. The percentage of people using the shop decreases or goes down. Okay, so use the graph. Let's just get this underneath. Use the graph to predict the percentage of the people in the village likely to use the shop in the year 2020. So we're looking at trying to find out roughly what the value would be for 2020. Now if I draw a trend line in, which is a little bit like a line of best fit, then I can read up from 2020, and I've got an answer that's sort of between 14 and 15 there. So I'm going to say for 2020 I'm going to estimate it as being 15%. So if I draw a trend line in and I read off from 2020, that comes off as roughly 15. But having checked the mark scheme in advance to see what leeway they give you with this, it says anything between 13 and 17 and you'd get the mark. Is your prediction reliable? Okay, when you're using like a trend line or a scatter graph to predict something, whether or not it's reliable, you can often use it to predict values as long as it's within your set of data. So as long as you're predicting something between 1980 and 2010, which is where all of our data lies between. As soon as you go beyond the set of data that you've already got, it's the actual word that we use is extrapolation. So you could say, is this reliable? Well, no, you can't be sure how the trend is going to continue, or no, 2020 lies outside the years from which the data was gathered. So 2020 lies outside the years from which the data was gathered, something along these lines. If you use the word extrapolation, even better. So extrapolation is just when you try to estimate something based on a trend, but you're trying to estimate something that lies outside of the range of data that you already have. So 2020 is not within the data that we already have, so it's extrapolation. Any other common sense answer like no, because there's no way of being sure that the trend will continue in this way, or the trend can't continue to go down indefinitely because you can't go below 0%. Any sort of common sense answer would also be fine.